So apparently, the federal government of Nigeria is currently trying to merge junior secondary and senior secondary education. And their reason for doing this, the official reason, is that they want to solve the out of school crisis in Nigeria. Recall that currently we have over 20 million students who are not enrolled in any school in the country, which is an out of school crisis. It's a crisis. In fact, it's a disaster because we are like the highest in the world so far, especially in a country that is working hard to become an industrial superpower in Africa. So obviously, we should welcome any development that will solve the out of school crisis. But unfortunately, it is unclear how merging junior secondary and senior secondary is going to solve the out of school crisis. Point being that the primary people who are out of school are not even in secondary schools. They are those who should be in the primary and nursery level of education. They have like 80% out of school because let's say in northern Nigeria, most students do not go to formal schools. Not most, but a huge majority. So they depend on an Amajiri system. So these students who are supposed to be in nursery and primary schools are currently out of school and being schooled by Islamic scholars in the streets. So if you are going to solve the out of school crisis problem, isn't it wise for you to go and focus on the primary education, erect more buildings, make education at primary level free so that parents don't have any excuse of why their children are not in school, ban street hawking for children, implement some programs to allow mothers who cannot even afford uniforms, textbooks, and some utensils to use for schooling. That is the natural thing any right-thinking government should be doing. I don't see how merging junior secondary and senior secondary is going to solve the out-of-school crisis. First of all, the problem with this idea is that it is even a disaster. The disaster because if most schools do not even have senior secondary, they start from primary and they end at junior secondary. They assume that once you're done with junior secondary and you write to junior WAEC, you can go to other schools to complete your senior secondary education. So if you now merge the two, you are forcing these schools to erect new buildings or at least make some classrooms available to accommodate the SS1, SS2, and SS3 students. Because if they don't, that means that junior secondary education is invalid. This means that you are creating chaos because the government cannot fund all these projects. You are forcing schools to try to rush things, and they will rush it because they want license. They want to continue operating. They want to continue remaining profitable. This is going to be a calamity. Even in some government schools where you have junior secondary and senior secondary together, sometimes the buildings are separated. The junior secondary have their own buildings, while the senior secondary have their own buildings. So how are you going to merge them together? Even if you want to continue operating the same norm, come on, what is the purpose of this? If a child in junior secondary cannot continue to senior secondary and they drop out of school, the reason is usually not because the two schools are separated. No. The reason is because they don't have the money to continue their education. So if you want to solve the out of school crisis, release funding for secondary schools, give out grants, make textbooks free, make the school accessible to the students. This is the only way. And the funny thing is that it's not like we cannot even claim that this money for this is not available because the money the government is going to use to set up a committee to draft the plan for this division of secondary school, the money they are going to spend on maybe trying to renovate their already secondary schools, because most government schools even don't feature senior secondary, or they do feature but in separate buildings. So maybe they are going to throw in funding to erect new structures and to make amendments, and they are going to have to scrap junior WAEC. So the money they're going to waste on all of this, if they pull it together, they're going to support the students at senior secondary level and junior secondary level, I swear. But our main target is the primary level. The out of school crisis is at the primary level, not at the secondary level. But as it exists at the secondary level, probably 20 or 30%. Just solve the primary level first, and let's see how things go from there. So this is a disastrous initiative, and I think there is more to it. I'll continue to make my research on why they are doing. There must be other reasons, because these people are not stupid. They may appear to us as stupid, but they are making these plans with other things in mind behind the scenes. So I'm going to continue investigating, and whatever I find, I'll show it to you. But these are reasons of trying to trying to merge junior secondary and senior secondary on the bare excuse that it is to solve the out of school crisis is a flat out lie. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. Bye.